morning, students. Today we are going to continue with Geography, Chapter 3, The Changing Earth. In the previous class, we have discussed about the Wegener's theory of continental drift, volcanoes, different types of volcanoes, and the distribution of volcanoes. In today's class, we will be going to study about earthquake. So, it is the earth's movement, or the you can say the forces which is generated at a sudden, and we have dealt in the previous class also endogenic forces which are generated like sudden, and they causes sometimes earthquakes, sometimes volcanic eruption, and sometimes landslides. In the previous class we discussed about the volcanoes, and in today's class we will be studying about the earthquakes. So it is said as the shaking of the earth's surface is called as an earthquake. That means it makes the earth to tremor a lot. So it is called as an earthquake. That means the shaking of the earth's surface is called an earthquake. Now you can see the diagram here. Here it is showing the focus. Here means the area along the fault at which a slippage first occurs, intending an earthquake. That means the place of an origin of an earthquake is called as the focus, from where the earthquake is originating, that is the source from where it is originating, the place of origin, or you can say source of an earthquake is called as the focus. And epicenter is there, the point on the earth's surface directly above the focus. That means it will be similarly equal, that means in the same distance, not same distance, it will be on the top. That means where the focus is being released, in the same at the top of the earth crust will have the vibration. So the point of the earth's surface which is above the focus, that means above the focus from the source, is called as the epicenter, from where the vibration will be releasing. And the vibration of an earthquake spread out in a concentric waves from the focus. From the diagram also you can see in a circular motion the waves are moving outward, and it is said that the intensity of the earthquake is maximum near the epicenter. That means near the region from where it is moving out from the earth's surface, there you have the intensity of the earthquake is more as compared to the other areas. So let's know about seismic waves. There are three types of seismic waves, and it is said that an earthquake produces vibration which is called as the waves, and these waves carry energy as they travel outward. That means whatever the vibration is being generated inside the earth, they releases the energy and travel towards the other areas. That means the waves move in circular motion or energy, and during an earthquake seismic waves race out from the focus in all the direction. So from the focus it moves in a circular motion and moves in all the direction. So what is the word term seismic waves? Seismic waves are vibration that travel through earth carrying the energy released during an earthquake. That means a waves in which it takes the vibration feeling is there, and it moves, or you can say travel the energy from the earthquake. That means it moves its energy in all the direction. So it is a vibration that travel through earth carrying the energy released during an earthquake. So there are three types of seismic waves. We have primary waves, secondary waves, and we have surface waves. We can see in the picture also that three types of waves are there, that is primary wave, S wave, and surface wave. In the primary wave, it is also called as P waves or push waves, are the first to arrive as they are the fastest. That means when there is an earthquake strike, the first wave will be the primary wave, and it is the fastest wave. These waves usually travel at a speed of about 6 km per second, and the waves cause relatively small displacement. That means the wave is not so much destructive. It is the fastest wave, but it does not create any type of disturbance on the earth's surface. But the second wave is the secondary wave, which we call it as a S wave. It lets, or you can say it is also called as a shake wave also, and it arrives next to P wave, and the rate of the movement is less than that of the P waves, and these waves produce a strong shaking action, and they do not pass through liquids. That means the secondary waves come after the primary wave reaching the surface of the earth, and the rate of the movement is very less than the P wave. That means it is little bit slow, but this wave creates vibration, that is a strong shaking action happens on the earth's surface. You can see in the picture what the displacement it is making. First, in the P wave there is no type of vibration or movement, but in the second wave we have S wave that is making the surface to shake, so it is making a displacement. And the third, we have the surface wave. The surface wave is the last wave which arrive on the earth's surface, and the waves are very powerful and cause most of the damage. That means the surface wave is the most destructive seismic wave which gives a lots of destruction on the earth surface. So we have dealt about the three types of seismic waves, and we can say that surface wave and S waves are the most destructive wave as compared to P wave, because lots of destructions happens, the shakings happens in the because of the S wave, and surface waves makes the displacement. That means a lot of destructions happens because of the surface wave. Moving to the measuring earthquakes, what are the instruments used to measure the earthquake when it occurs or when it is going to happen? So it is said that the earthquake is measured in a Richter scale. So what is that? It is the intensity of the earthquake, or you can say earthquake waves, is measured on a Richter scale. That is, earthquake magnitude is measured in Richter scale. That means the intensity, the speed, or you can say yes, the speed, how much it is having, the speed of the waves is measured on the scale of Richter scale. And the earthquake tremors are recorded by an instrument called seismography. That is, the instrument that measure earthquake shaking is called as seismograph, and that has three components we can see in the picture, that is the sensor, the recorder, and the timer. And the science that deals with the earthquake is called seismology, and the earthquake scientists are called seismologists. So remember that everything is related with seismograph, seismology, and seismologist. So the science that deals with the earthquake is called seismology. The earthquake scientists are called seismologists. Moving to the another scaling which we have discussed, that it ranges or studies the intensity of the earthquake, that is Richter scale. The Richter scale ranges from 0 to 9. In this diagram you can say it is being shown that from 0 to 9 and above it is showing the picture, and it is showing the measures energy waves emitted by earthquake. from 0 to 1.9 can be detected only by seismograph, but when there the intensity is so high it cannot be detected because it is very frequent. You can just it is sudden, it happens everything. So it cannot be predicted when the earthquake can occur. The prediction cannot be done. It happens whenever it is released from the core of the earth, and then it is struck on the earth's surface. So it is, you can say, the scientist or any person cannot predict when the earthquake or volcanic eruption can happen. It can be for sudden. So it is said as Richter scale helps in measuring the earthquake waves, the intensity of the earthquake waves. In the Richter scale, when it is measured from 2 to 2.9, it is the hanging objects may swing. That means little bit of shaking can happen. But when the earthquake intensity is from recorded as 3 to 3.9, the vibration can struck something else. That means it can break something or make swing the floor, or it try to shake the buildings. It can be like that. Effect can be shown, it will shake a little bit. In 4 to 4.9 may break windows, cause small or unstable objects to fall. That means in this magnitude, or you can say 4.49 scaling, the earthquake waves, you can say, it can break the windows, it can damage any objects or make it fall. Even you can say the fans, the lights, they can make them fall in the direction. And in the magnitude of 5.59, it is furnitures move, chunks of plasters may fall from the walls. That means it can make the walls to fall some of the areas. If it has ceilings or any other things, it can make to fall the things. In from 6 to 6.9, damage to well building structures, severe damage to the poorly built ones. That means it can break or you can say damage the buildings which is not properly constructed. In 7 to 7.9, we have building displacement from foundation crack in the earth, underground pipes broken. That means underground wages can be broken on the earth surface, can be also been divided into two parts. We can see the cracks. And when the intensity is above 8 and 9 and 10, it is destructive. It can immerse or destroy a huge building, and it cannot be seen. You can say it is just in a sudden, everything will collapse under the earth's surface, or you can say under the ground. And the destruction is very strong when the intensity is from 8 to 9 and 10. The intensity is too much destructive because it will have loss of property, loss of life. Many destructions will be caused, everything will be disturbed if the Richter scale counts from 9 to 8 to 10. Moving to the distribution of earthquake, as we see that in the dotted lines of red color which is seen all over the world map, that shows the distribution of earthquake belts. That means near the coastal areas, we can see in the mid continental belt, we can see in the near the Himalayan ranges, also we can see in the Mediterranean Sea, also we can see. So these are the regions where the earthquakes happens, or the earthquake belts are being found. So the first we will be talking about the circum-Pacific belt, that is includes the coastal margins of the North America and South America and East Asia. You can see it also that some of the coastal areas, that is near to the oceans or seas, that area which is having red colors, that is showing the earthquake belts. And East Asia, that means in the eastern side where we are having the Africa, we can see eastern side, not eastern side, that is India's in the eastern side, we can see the red dots. It is very intense in that region. The earthquake happens very frequent in that region. And moving to the other areas, it is also belt collide with the earthquakes maximum it collided with the Pacific Ring of Fire, that is a volcanic region is also being included in the same region. That means it is near, or you can say situated near the boundaries of the volcanic eruption as well as the earthquake. Moving to the mid-continental belt, the mid-continental belt includes the Alpine mountains, Mediterranean Sea, northern and eastern Africa, and the Himalayas. You can see the red dots above the India's map, that is the Himalayan regions. And we have the in Africa, above Africa, we have all red parts that shows the about the Mediterranean Sea, the Alpine mountains in that region. Then moving to the Atlantic range belt, that is mid Atlantic ridge belt. It includes the mid Atlantic ridge and the adjoining island, that is nearby islands it is joining, showing the red dots that shows the earthquake where it is more, where the belt is there. And in that region it have a moderate type of earthquake which caused due to moving of the lithospheric plates in an opposite direction. So these are the areas, you can say, the earthquake occurs, where it is shown with the red color. And it is also seen the earthquake belt in India is mainly confined to Himalayan region, that is you can see in the Himalayan region and Ganga Brahmaputra valley. And it is said that about two-thirds of the India is earthquake prone area. So you have already heard about earthquake of Bhuj, which was very severe, and it was very destructive. And in many parts of the world, or you can say in particularly about India, it is very frequent in some of the places, but in some of the places it is very safer. For example, Jharkhand, you can say